In chapter 16, A Very Frosty Christmas, so Harry and Ron are discussing what Harry overheard between Malfoy and Snape. Ron explains to Harry what exactly an unbreakable vow is and basically what happens if you break the vow, and what happens is that you die. Ron explains that Fred and George almost tricked Ron into making an unbreakable vow when he was very young, and they got in trouble. And I think it was Fred got a really good whooping by Mr. Weasley, and Ron said that was the most angry he's seen Mr. Weasley in a long time. And so they were just explaining that Harry was trying to press his case that Malfoy actually is up to something, and that he's going to try to tell Mr. Weasley as well and pick his brain on what this could mean. And Ron was just like, it might not still mean anything because he didn't say what exactly he was doing. And also, Harry was like, Snape was actually trying to help him with whatever he was doing. And Ron is like, maybe he was just, pretending just to allude to the fact, maybe make Malfoy tell him what he's really up to. And Harry also thought about the fact that he wasn't able to talk to Hermione about this since Hermione went off with her family for Christmas and she was not going to be at the Burrow for Christmas this time around. Um, but he would have liked to hear what she what she thought, even though he probably thinks that she would have said something similar to what Ron is saying. And but he wanted to hear it. And as they were sitting down for Christmas dinner together, Lupin was also there for Christmas. And so Harry talked to Mr. Weasley, asked him how he's doing, how the ministry is going, and all that. And then he told him what he overheard. And Mr. Weasley kind of said the same. Um, Even Lupin overheard the conversation. And they were just like, you just got to trust that Snape is doing good, basically. And basically, if Dumbledore trusts Snape, then they should trust Snape. That's what they're saying. Harry doesn't fully trust Snape still. He's still trying to find a reason not to trust Snape. And then after that, he went to go have an actual conversation with Lupin. He hasn't really caught up with Lupin in a while. And Lupin just told him that he's been living with the werewolves, other werewolves, because majority of the werewolves are on Voldemort's side, and he's trying to be like a spy in that sense. So he's just overhearing what they're saying, what they're talking about, how they're living. And he also does tell Harry that he's also found out about the werewolf that bit him as well, which is like the main, most dangerous werewolf. Um, and that's the one that bit him as a kid. This werewolf targets kids because he can bite them and then raise them in his own like litter. So he targets kids. And this werewolf is called Greyback. Then he asked Lupin if he's heard of the Half Blood Prince, and Lupin's like, I've never heard of that name. And he tells Harry, maybe you should look in the book that you have to see how old it is. So when they go back upstairs to go to bed, Harry does that. He looks in the book, and it says it's about 50 years ago. So it couldn't be from the time that Lupin and them were there. Harry was really hoping the Half Blood Prince was maybe either his dad or Sirius or maybe even Snape, someone that he knew, but it was none of them. And 50 years ago, if you remember, was about the time that Voldemort was at the school, I believe, with the diary from the second book. I think that was 50 years ago. But yeah, it was about in that time. But Harry didn't mention that part. But when they woke up in the morning, they had some presents. Ron got a present from his girl Lavender. It's a necklace that said "My Sweetheart" on it, and he was like, "You really think I'm gonna wear this?" Harry was just laughing about the fact that it said "My Sweetheart." And then Harry got a present from Creature, which was like a box of maggots. And as they were having breakfast in the morning, or I guess lunch, they were having lunch. Um, they were just talking about various things in the world. And in comes Percy out of nowhere with the minister, um, Rufus, and they kind of just abruptly come in, and he says, Percy, we were in the area and Percy wanted to stop by. Percy did not look like he wanted to stop by at the house at all. So it makes it look like it was Rufus's idea. And he just randomly grabs Harry and says, come outside and have a walk with me. Everyone freezes for a second. Harry's like, it's okay. I'll be fine. So they go have a walk. And basically, Rufus just talks about how Harry, you know, basically kind of questions if Harry believes himself that he's the chosen one. And he's just kind of picking Harry's brain to see if he's going to reveal some information about Dumbledore, about what Dumbledore's been doing, about himself, what he's been doing. And Harry's just keeping quiet as conversation goes on. And then it gets to a point where Harry starts answering a little bit um, as it goes on. So it comes to the point where Harry gets mad. He's a hothead. He gets mad. Yeah, because Rufus asks if Dumbledore and him have spoken about the prophecy, and he mentions that Harry maybe should be seen coming in and out of the ministry to make the ministry look better in the eyes of the people, because they want, since Harry is like a beacon of hope, because he is the one that's supposed to, end Voldemort, that if he was on the ministry side, it would make them look better. And then Harry learns that Umbridge is still working at the ministry and mentioned that Harry wanted to become an Auror, and he was trying to maybe pull some strings, maybe have Harry come in his shadow. And yeah, Harry gets mad. He basically says, yeah, you guys, all you had to do was believe me from the start, and we wouldn't be in this mess. If you'd taken me seriously from the start, like he holds up his hand to show the scars he still has from Umbridge and her torture. And yeah, he just gets mad and kind of storms off, which I'm with him there. They literally was trying to call him crazy and all that stuff. And then turns out he was right the whole time.